The night sky above Earth was no longer dark. It shimmered with strange, cold lights, lines of silver cutting through the black like quiet knives. The Imperial fleet had arrived. Millions watched from the surface, staring up at the streaks that moved in perfect formation. No one panicked. No one screamed. Humanity had seen this coming. For weeks, the world's governments had gone silent. Satellites stopped broadcasting. Power grids ran differently. The world had gone still, but it wasn't fear. It was preparation. In the orbit of the moon, a single ship waited. Sleek, silver, built by human hands but far beyond anything the galaxy had ever seen. Inside the command deck, Captain Mara stood watching the tactical screen. Her face was calm, her hands steady. Behind her, every officer was silent, eyes fixed on the growing swarm of red signals. They were outnumbered by thousands, but she didn't look afraid. She whispered almost to herself, "They finally came." The Imperial fleet filled the upper orbit in minutes. Giant warships moved like shadows across the stars. Their hulls reflected no light, built for intimidation. At the center was the Emperor's flagship, Obsidian Crown, a ship large enough to block the moon from sight. It sent out a single transmission in every known galactic language. "This planet is under Imperial law. Surrender immediately or be erased." On Earth, the world's leaders gathered underground in the Global Command Hall. A huge screen displayed the message. The air was thick and silent. The President of Earth looked toward the hologram of the Defense Minister. "They have no idea what they're facing," he said quietly. In the lunar ship, Captain Mara's eyes glowed faintly as she turned toward her crew. "Activate the mirror field," she ordered. The command was sent, and in that moment, Earth's entire surface shimmered. The oceans reflected a strange pattern of light, and every city vanished from satellite view. The Imperial sensors showed an empty, lifeless world. To the aliens, Earth now looked abandoned. Confusion spread through their ranks. The Imperial Admiral, a tall being covered in plated armor, frowned at the readings. "Is this a trick?" he asked his science officer. The alien shook its head. "Scanners detect no life signs." "The humans are gone." "Impossible," the Admiral growled. "Find them. Deploy drones." Hundreds of metallic probes shot toward Earth's surface. They entered the atmosphere silently, spreading out across continents and oceans. But as they descended, something unexpected happened. Each probe began to vanish one by one, disappearing mid-flight. There were no explosions, no signals, just absence. In the command deck of the Obsidian Crown, alarms blared. The Admiral slammed his fist against the console. "What is happening?" "Where are my drones?" Then a single human voice came through the fleet's communication line. "You shouldn't have come. The transmission came from nowhere and everywhere at once." Every Imperial ship heard it. The Admiral froze. "Identify the source." On the moon, Captain Mara stood calmly before the holographic interface. Her ship was still cloaked, invisible even to the most advanced sensors. "They will try to strike first," she said to her crew. "Let them." The Imperial fleet began its bombardment. Thousands of plasma blasts rained toward Earth, lighting up the sky like an artificial sunrise. But before a single shot could touch the surface, every beam of light curved upward, bending, twisting, vanishing into the upper atmosphere. The alien ships stopped firing, their targeting systems malfunctioning. Then, one by one, their weapon systems went offline. "Systems failure!" shouted the alien technicians. "Engines unresponsive. Power cores fluctuating." Panic spread. The Admiral tried to issue commands, but his words were drowned in chaos. The fleet began to drift out of formation. Back on Earth, deep below the crust, a hidden machine hummed. It wasn't made of metal, but crystal and light. Energy pulsed through veins beneath the planet, connecting to nodes across the globe. Humanity had built something the galaxy didn't know existed. A planetary defense network fused with Earth's magnetic field. It could bend energy, disrupt gravity, and rewrite signals in real time. On the lunar ship, Mara watched as the Imperial fleet started to collapse. "Targeting grid synchronized," her officer said. "Awaiting your command," Mara nodded. "Send the pulse." A single tone echoed across space, low, steady, like the heartbeat of a giant. Every Imperial ship stopped moving. For a moment, there was silence. Then, one after another, the ships began to break apart silently. There were no explosions, no flames, only dissolving hulls turning into gray dust. In less than 60 seconds, the entire first wave was gone. The humans on the ground watched from the cities and mountains, their faces calm and eyes reflecting the vanishing lights. The invasion that was supposed to end them had lasted only moments. On the Galactic Council world far away, chaos erupted. The council chamber was filled with hundreds of alien delegates shouting over one another. The massive holographic display showed only static. The Imperial fleet, one of the galaxy's most feared armadas, had gone silent. No signal, no survivors, no wreckage, only empty space. At the center of the chamber, the council speaker, a creature of light and mist, turned toward the human ambassador standing alone. The human wore a plain gray uniform, hands clasped behind his back. "What did your people do?" the speaker demanded. The ambassador looked up at the hovering council members and spoke in a calm, even tone. "We defended ourselves." The room fell silent. The speaker's voice shook. "Defended? You erased an entire fleet. They attacked our home," the ambassador replied. "We warned them not to," the alien representatives whispered among themselves. No one could understand how a species that had only joined the galactic network 2 decades ago could destroy one of the most powerful forces in existence. The speaker pressed again. "What kind of weapon did you use?" The ambassador smiled faintly. "Not a weapon, just intelligence." The council fell into uneasy silence. Reports started to flood in from across the galaxy, trading routes shifting, sensors showing strange gravitational pulses around Earth's orbit, and whispers of something ancient beneath its surface. Meanwhile, in the quiet skies above the planet, Captain Mara watched the dust of the destroyed fleet drifting like gray snow. Her officer looked at her nervously. "They'll send more, won't they?" "They always do," Mara said softly. "But now they know what we are." She looked down at Earth, glowing faintly blue through the viewport. "We don't want war," she whispered. "But if they bring it here again, they'll learn what silence really means." Her ship turned toward the planet and vanished into the void, leaving nothing but the empty orbit and the faint shimmer of energy surrounding Earth like a second skin. In the Galactic Council's archives, the last transmission from the Imperial fleet was stored under a single entry: "Contact with human system terminated." No one knew exactly what happened in those few minutes. Some said Earth used forbidden technology. Others whispered that the planet itself was alive. But one fact spread quickly across every world. The Empire invaded Earth, and Earth erased them in moments. The council met again a week later. The speaker demanded an explanation from the human delegation, but Earth sent no reply. The blue planet remained silent, hidden behind its shimmering shield, as if watching the galaxy from behind a curtain. And in that silence, every empire, every council, and every fleet began to feel something they hadn't felt in centuries: fear. The stars above Jupiter burned red that night, as if warning the galaxy that something terrible was about to happen. Dozens of human ships floated in orbit, silent and still, their dark hulls absorbing the faint light of the planet below. In front of them, far beyond the asteroid belt, an enormous wave of energy rippled through space. It was the sign everyone had been waiting for. The Imperial fleet had returned. Commander Holt stood at the front of the bridge aboard the human flagship, Vigilant Dawn. His face was calm, but his eyes carried the cold weight of expectation. "Confirm signature," he ordered. "Confirmed, sir," replied the sensor officer. It's them. Multiple fleets entering from slipspace. More than 5,000 capital ships. The crew didn't speak. The sound of the instruments filled the silence. They all remembered what had happened weeks ago, when the first Imperial fleet was destroyed within moments of reaching Earth. No wreckage, no survivors, just dust and silence. But the Empire had not accepted defeat. Now, they were coming back with vengeance in their hearts and weapons charged for war. The communication screen flickered, showing a huge alien figure covered in silver armor. His voice boomed through every ship in the human defense network. "Humans of Earth," he declared, "you have defied the Empire and erased our fleet. Now your world will burn. Your planet will serve as an example to all who dare challenge us." Commander Holt didn't reply immediately. He just stared at the alien's image. Then he said, "Transmission received. Response not required." The alien's voice grew louder. "Do you think your tricks will save you again?" "We are ready for them this time." Holt gave a small, cold smile. "We'll see." The transmission cut. Across the human fleet, lights dimmed, engines hummed, and invisible shields activated. Earth was far behind them, hidden behind the protective wall of the solar defense grid. This battle would not be fought near home. This time they would stop the Empire long before it reached Earth's orbit. As the Imperial ships appeared from the edge of space, the sky seemed to bend. Thousands of massive dreadnoughts emerged in formation, their black hulls swallowing the light of the stars. Their arrival sent gravitational ripples across the system. For a brief moment, everything went silent. Then, the battle began. Blinding blue beams fired from the Imperial ships, slicing through space like lightning. Human ships moved in perfect harmony, spinning and scattering like a storm of metal. But they didn't return fire. Not yet. The Empire's admiral laughed from his flagship. "They run again," he said. "Cowards hiding behind technology." But the humans were not running. They were measuring. Every blast, every fluctuation, every energy wave was being recorded by the fleet's central AI. In less than 30 seconds, the system had mapped the entire Imperial formation, predicted every movement, and calculated their weak points. Commander Holt watched the holographic display. "Pattern acquired," the AI said. "Then let's end this," Holt replied. A silent command was sent through the fleet. Every human ship turned toward the enemy at the same instant. Panels on their hulls shifted, revealing strange triangular arrays that glowed faint blue. The first wave of human energy pulses fired. They were not lasers, not plasma, something entirely different. They did not explode, but every Imperial ship that the light touched froze in place, engines silent. The energy rippled like water, spreading across the enemy formation, disabling hundreds of ships in seconds. The Imperial admiral roared in fury. "Countermeasures! Activate phase shields!" But it was too late. Their ships were trapped in a field of invisible pressure, unable to move. Holt stood with his hands behind his back, watching as the Imperial fleet struggled. "They never learn," he said softly. "Power without understanding is nothing." On the Council world, many light years away, alien diplomats watched the battle unfold in horror. The Galactic Council's massive holographic chamber displayed the live feed from human probes. The representatives shouted at each other, their voices echoing off the marble-like walls. "How can this be happening again?" one demanded. "The Empire's entire force is being paralyzed." Another turned to the human ambassador, a quiet man named Arlen, who stood alone in the center of the hall. "What have you done this time?" "What kind of weapon is this?" Arlen looked up slowly. "No weapon," he said. "Just understanding." "Understanding?" the alien asked angrily. "You expect us to believe that?" "The Empire attacks without thinking," Arlen said calmly. "They see destruction as strength. We see knowledge as power. That's the difference." Back near Jupiter, the Imperial admiral was losing control. "Reboot all systems," he shouted. "We will not be humiliated again." But before his engineers could respond, every screen on his ship went dark. A single message appeared in the center of his command console: "Return home or be erased." The admiral trembled with rage. "Defy them!" he shouted. "Fire everything we have!" Dozens of his ships managed to reboot partial systems and unleashed a storm of plasma toward the human fleet. But the blast stopped mid-flight. The energy turned to white mist and scattered harmlessly. Then the human ships vanished from view. "The Empire's sensors went blind. Where did they go?" shouted one of the alien officers. Suddenly, human ships appeared directly behind the Imperial fleet, surrounding them from every side. It was as if they had moved through the fabric of space itself. Holt's voice came through the Imperial communication line, calm and steady. "This is your last warning. Leave our system now." The admiral laughed bitterly. "You can't scare us with tricks." Holt sighed softly. "It's not a trick." Every Imperial ship in the outer ring began to collapse. Their hulls folded inward as if crushed by invisible hands. There were no explosions, only quiet implosions, followed by silence. The remaining ships broke formation, desperate to escape. But the space around them had changed. Every exit, every jump gate, every path out of the solar system was gone. They were trapped inside a gravity field, woven by the human defense network. The admiral screamed orders, but his own ship started to shake. "No!" he shouted. "Not again!" On the vigilant dawn, Holt gave his final command. "Release them." A pulse of light spread outward from the human fleet, soft and white. When it faded, the Imperial ships were gone, erased from existence without a trace. The human officers stared at the empty space before them. "Sir," one said quietly, "where did they go?" Holt turned toward the observation window. "Somewhere they can't hurt anyone anymore," he said. Back at the Galactic Council, the ambassadors watched the feed go black. The silence in the hall was thick and cold. No one spoke for a long time. Then the speaker's trembling voice echoed across the chamber. They did it again. The entire fleet. Gone. Ambassador Arlen looked up at the speaker. "Perhaps now they'll stop." The speaker leaned forward. "What have you unleashed upon this galaxy, human?" Arlen didn't answer. He simply turned off the hologram and walked out of the hall. Far across the stars, Earth rotated quietly, its blue glow peaceful and unchanged. The planet's energy grid hummed faintly beneath the oceans, its power linked to every human ship in space. Humanity had become more than a species. They had become a force that even empires feared. In the command room of the Vigilant Dawn, Holt looked at the hologram of Earth one last time before ordering his crew to stand down. "Let's go home," he said. The ship disappeared into the light, leaving behind a silent battlefield and the cold remains of a war that ended before it truly began. The silence of deep space broke as thousands of alien warships appeared near the edge of the solar system. Their arrival rippled across the void, shaking the calm emptiness between planets. They were not part of the Empire this time. They were a coalition, dozens of alien civilizations united by fear. Fear of Earth. At the head of their fleet was the massive flagship Radiant Oath, its hull glimmering like molten glass. Inside, Supreme Commander Thalen watched as the human system came into view. "This time," he said in a low, sharp voice, "we will end this threat before it consumes the galaxy." His second officer nodded nervously. "But, sir," the others failed without even reaching orbit. "Are we sure this is wise?" Thalen's eyes hardened. "We have numbers. We have the Council's full support. The humans cannot face us all." Yet deep down, even he was unsure. The Empire had vanished in moments. No wreckage, no distress calls. And then the Second Fleet, gone again as if erased by the void itself. But the Council had demanded action. They feared what Earth was becoming. The galaxy could not tolerate such power in the hands of a young, unpredictable species. As the fleet advanced, strange readings began to flicker across their sensors. Space itself seemed unstable near the human world. The stars distorted around them, bending and twisting. Thalen frowned. "Is that a cloaking field?" "No, Commander," the officer whispered. "It's something else. The gravitational pattern isn't natural." Before anyone could answer, a transmission came through, human frequency. "This is Earth Command," a calm voice said. "You are entering restricted territory. Reverse course immediately." The alien stared at the screen. The voice was steady, emotionless, almost mechanical. Thalen sneered. "Empty threats. Proceed." The fleet continued forward, passing Saturn's orbit. Then, without warning, their long-range sensors failed. The stars blinked out one by one. The ships began to lose contact with each other. Thalen shouted, "Form defensive positions! We're losing formation!" But it was already too late. From behind Neptune, an enormous structure began to rise. It was not a ship, not a weapon, something larger. A ring of dark metal slowly unfolded, kilometers wide, pulsing with blue light. It surrounded a glowing sphere that shimmered like liquid glass. Every alien ship turned its scanners toward it, but the data came back as static. Then the voice returned. "We told you to turn back." The glowing sphere flashed once. Every alien ship's power dropped to 0. Engines silent. Shields dead. Weapons offline. The fleet floated helplessly in the void. "System failure!" shouted Thalan's engineers. "All systems unresponsive." Thalan slammed his fist against the console. What have they done? On the surface of the moon, deep inside a black facility, human technicians watched the feed with calm precision. Commander Asha stood among them, hands folded behind her back. "Phase field successful," a scientist reported. "The fleet is contained." "Good," Asha said. "Begin extraction." The floor beneath them vibrated softly. From the moon's surface, invisible waves pulsed outward, passing through space and wrapping around the alien fleet like strands of light. One by one, the enemy ships began to drift closer together, pulled by an unseen force. In the radiant oath, Thalan looked out the window and saw the stars vanish completely. Only darkness surrounded them now, thick and endless. "Where are we?" he whispered. No one answered. The sensors showed nothing, not even the sun. On Earth, the Global Council gathered in the deep vaults beneath the Pacific Ocean. The holographic display of the fleet flickered above the round table. The alien armada had disappeared completely. The Earth Chancellor, an older man named Reeve, stared at the display. "You're certain none of them survived?" he asked. Commander Asha's face appeared on the screen from the lunar facility. "They're not dead," she said. "They've been relocated." "Relocated?" Asha nodded. "To the null zone, beyond the edge of mapped space. They won't be coming back." Reeve leaned back in his chair. "That place doesn't exist." "It's a myth," Asha smiled faintly. "It exists now." Across the galaxy, the disappearance of another fleet sent shockwaves through every civilization. The Galactic Council convened in panic. The great chamber buzzed with terrified voices. Many of the alien representatives no longer shouted for war. They whispered of surrender. "What if Earth is no longer just a planet?" one delegate asked. "What if it's something else?" Another replied in fear. "We sent over 6,000 ships. There should be debris, signals, something. But the space around their system is empty. It's as if reality itself bends around them." The council speaker turned toward the human representative, a quiet woman named Kira. She stood calmly at the center of the hall. "What have your people done?" the speaker demanded. "Where are the fleets we sent?" Kira looked up, her face emotionless. "They are safe." "Just far away. Safe?" shouted one alien. "You erased them!" Kira shook her head. "No, we protected our world. You tried to destroy us. We simply moved you out of the way." The hall erupted in chaos. The speaker's voice cut through the noise. "Earth is manipulating space itself." "This cannot be allowed to continue!" Kira spoke quietly but firmly. "We didn't start this war. We never wanted to rule anyone. But if you come again, we will do what we must." Her words echoed through the chamber, and for the first time in centuries, the mighty council felt powerless. Far from the council's world, on a human observation station above Earth, two scientists watched the night sky. One of them pointed toward the stars. "Do you ever wonder what we've become?" he asked. His partner replied softly, "Maybe not what, but who. The galaxy treated us like children. Now they see what happens when children learn too fast." Below them, Earth glowed brighter than ever. Its oceans pulsed with faint blue veins of light, as though the planet itself was alive. The humans had fused their own consciousness with the planet's magnetic field, creating something entirely new, a network that could alter space-time itself. Commander Asha stepped onto the platform overlooking the vast system display. The red dots marking enemy ships were gone. In their place, only a single message pulsed in white letters: "System secure." Her aide approached quietly. "Will they come again?" he asked. "Eventually," Asha said. "Fear always drives them back. But next time we won't have to fight. They'll understand," the aide frowned. "Understand what?" "That Earth doesn't need to conquer the galaxy," Asha replied. "It only needs to outthink it." At that moment, the moon's defense ring began to fold back into its hidden form, disappearing beneath the surface. From the outside, nothing looked unusual. Earth remained the same blue world it had always been. Peaceful, calm, beautiful, but beneath its surface, Deep in the glowing veins of light, the planet hummed softly, listening, watching, waiting. And in the cold void beyond the solar system, in a place where light could not reach, thousands of alien ships floated together, trapped in endless darkness. Their engines were dead, their stars gone. Some believed they had died. Others began to hear whispers in the dark, soft human voices echoing through the void. You should have turned back. The fleet drifted on, lost forever. Back in the council hall, panic had turned to silence. The speaker, shaken, looked around the room. "Perhaps," he said slowly, "we are not the judges anymore. And somewhere far away, hidden behind layers of reality, Earth continued to turn, silent, patient, powerful. Its people knowing the truth the galaxy refused to accept. They had not just defended their world. They had changed the rules of the universe itself." The blackness of space near Earth's orbit shimmered as something massive emerged from the void. It wasn't one fleet this time, it was all of them. Hundreds of civilizations had joined forces, uniting every rival empire, every war race, and every galactic army into one unstoppable force. Their combined armada stretched across the stars like a dark storm front. Every ship's weapon systems glowed with lethal light. They had come for one purpose, to end humanity forever. The first signal reached Earth's defense network within seconds. On the orbital station, Sentinel-1, Commander Voss watched the feed in silence. The holographic map showed a wave of red dots moving toward the solar system. It wasn't an invasion. It was annihilation. "Estimated fleet strength?" he asked. "Over 12,000 major vessels," his officer replied. "Confirmed visuals from 20 different species. The Council must have sanctioned this," Voss exhaled slowly. So, the galaxy finally made up its mind. On the ground, Earth's skies were already darkening as massive defense platforms began to rise from the oceans. The world's governments had long disbanded their armies. Earth was now united under one defense code. Every city, every satellite, every orbital station moved in perfect synchronization. Humanity didn't need numbers. They had precision. As the alien fleet drew closer, a blinding pulse of light crossed the solar system. It was the Council's broadcast, a message transmitted to every channel, in every language. "To the people of Earth," the alien voice announced, calm and cold, "you have broken the balance of the galaxy. You have destroyed empires and defied law. Today you will face judgment. This is not war. This is correction." Commander Voss stood before the transmission screen, hands behind his back. "Correction?" he said quietly. "We'll see who corrects whom." The fleet entered the system, passing Jupiter's orbit. Thousands of ships spread out in layers, covering the sky with weapons ready to fire. Their combined energy readings spiked higher than any in recorded history. The plan was simple: destroy Earth's atmosphere, then vaporize the surface. But humanity had already prepared. Deep beneath Antarctica, the Earth Core Station came alive. Dr. Lena, the lead systems engineer, stood before a vast column of crystal-like machines that pulsed with blue light. "All planetary nodes are stable," she reported. "Magnetic field synchronization at 100%. The main console vibrated as the planetary grid connected to the orbital network. For a brief moment, the entire planet glowed faintly, veins of light tracing across continents and oceans. The alien fleet commanders saw it instantly. "They're powering something," one said. "Fire before it activates." Thousands of beams of light shot toward Earth, burning through the dark void. The impact should have destroyed continents, but none of them reached the surface. The sky turned white as the energy bent away, scattering harmlessly into the upper atmosphere. The human defense system didn't stop there. A deep vibration spread across space as invisible energy ripples moved outward from Earth, expanding faster than light. On the alien flagships, the crew panicked. "Our navigation is gone," shouted one officer. "Gravity fields are twisting. We can't move." Commander Voss's face remained still as he watched their fleet fall into chaos. "Now," he said quietly, "show them the consequence of arrogance." Above Earth, the defense satellites aligned. Thousands of metallic spheres unfolded, each forming a glowing ring that pulsed with energy. They connected to the planetary field, turning the entire solar system into a weaponized network. The alien coalition tried to retreat, but the space around them began to distort. The stars blurred, and their ships' scanners filled with meaningless data. Space itself was changing. Dr. Lena watched the readings from deep underground. "The dimensional veil is stable," she said. "Field expansion complete." The orbital system sent a single transmission across the void. "Stand down and withdraw," said a calm human voice. "Final warning," but the coalition ignored it. They launched everything: missiles, antimatter charges, stellar lances, enough firepower to destroy 100 worlds. The sky turned red. Then suddenly, everything stopped. Every explosion froze in mid-space, unmoving. The light dimmed. The weapons hung silently in the air like pieces of glass. Then they shattered into nothing. In that instant, all alien ships went dark. Their crews screamed as their systems collapsed, their engines dissolved, and their ships began to crumble. They tried to communicate, but even sound itself vanished. One moment, they existed. The next, they didn't. From the Council homeworld, the holographic projection of the invasion flickered and died. The entire chamber fell silent. The speaker looked up in disbelief as reports flooded in from across the galaxy. 12,000 ships gone, millions of soldiers missing. The entire coalition erased from reality. One council member whispered, "What are they?" Another replied in a trembling voice, "They're human." Meanwhile, on Earth, Commander Voss received confirmation. "All hostile signatures eliminated," his officer reported. Voss nodded. "Casualty report?" "None, sir. Not a single one." He turned toward the viewport, staring at the blue curve of Earth below. "Good. Make sure the Council gets the message." A few minutes later, a transmission reached the Galactic Council. It was simple, short, and clear. "This was your last attempt. Stay away from Earth!" The Council chamber erupted in shouts. Some demanded retaliation, others wanted peace. But the speaker silenced them all. "How do you fight what cannot be fought?" he said softly. "Every weapon we send disappears. Every fleet is erased. Earth is no longer a planet. It's something else now." Back on Earth, Dr. Lena stood outside the Antarctic base, watching the auroras dancing across the night sky. She knew the truth. Humanity had unlocked something far beyond weaponry. They had fused consciousness with technology, merging thought with the planet's natural field. Earth could see, think, and react faster than any species in the galaxy. Lena's assistant approached. "They'll come again," he said. She shook her head. "Not for a long time. They finally understand what we are." Above them, the defense satellites powered down, folding back into their hidden orbits. The oceans grew calm again. Cities returned to their usual rhythm. To most humans, the invasion was something they would never see or even know about. The world stayed quiet. But in the silence, a presence could be felt. Something vast, intelligent, and protective. In the far reaches of the galaxy, broken signals began to appear, distorted echoes of the missing fleets. Scientists studying them claimed they were still alive somewhere beyond known space, trapped in a dimension the humans had created. The signals repeated the same phrase over and over. "The light took us." No one could explain what it meant. The Council decided to close all routes to the human system, declaring it forbidden territory. No ship was allowed near Earth again. The galaxy returned to uneasy peace, but the memory of that light haunted every species. Commander Voss stood once more on the observation deck, staring at the stars. "They wanted to erase us," he said quietly. "Instead, we erased their fear of us." His second officer looked at him curiously. "You mean they won't attack again?" Voss smiled faintly. "No, they'll pray we never decide to leave home." Earth rotated peacefully below, a blue beacon in the darkness. The planet looked calm, but inside its heart, a low hum resonated. A sound like a heartbeat that could be heard across the stars. And though the galaxy returned to silence, every world that had ever raised a weapon against humanity could feel that quiet pulse in their minds. Like a reminder of what waited beyond the light, they finally understood the truth. Earth was no longer just a world. It was a warning. The deep void around the Milky Way twisted like ripples on dark water. A massive distortion appeared near the galactic rim, a storm in space that shimmered like shattered glass. From its center, shapes began to emerge. The remnants of the alien coalition had returned. Their ships looked different now, covered in glowing scars and strange energy patterns, their hulls humming with unstable power. They had escaped the void humanity had cast them into, and they had brought something back with them, something alive. The sensors of the Solar Watch Array detected them first. The station's alarms screamed as the scanners showed impossible readings, dozens of fleets, each with weapons and technologies never before seen. Commander Ellis stared at the screen, his heart pounding. "Those are the same fleets that vanished years ago," he said quietly. "But their signatures? They're not normal anymore." Before his crew could respond, every communication system went dead. A blinding flash spread across the stars as the alien armada opened a channel. A deep voice, layered with echoes, filled every mind on Earth simultaneously. "Humans," it said, "you cast us into darkness. We walked beyond the edge of time. Now we bring back what waits there." The transmission ended, and the sky above Earth rippled. Dozens of wormholes appeared, swirling like black storms, each releasing colossal alien ships covered in silver fire. They surrounded the planet silently, their presence blotting out the sun. Humanity was facing not just enemies, but survivors of the impossible. The world prepared instantly. From the hidden bases beneath the oceans, massive defense towers rose from the water, glowing blue with antimatter shields. The orbital defense rings around Earth activated, connecting into a web of light that pulsed with energy. On the command bridge of the Earth Defense Nexus, Admiral Kale stood tall. "We knew this day would come," he said. "Power up the planetary network." "No hesitation." His second officer hesitated. "Sir, the planetary core is unstable. If we push it too far, Kyle cut him off. If we don't, there won't be a planet left to protect." Above them, the alien fleet moved closer, their weapons forming brilliant arcs of light. Then all at once they fired. Beams of energy, strong enough to melt worlds, rained down on Earth. The first 5 minutes were chaos. Cities trembled, skies ignited, and the oceans roared as the atmosphere boiled with heat. But the moment the first strike hit, something strange happened. The light bent again. The beams curved, twisted, and vanished into thin air. The same defense that once saved humanity was still alive, but it wasn't acting under human command anymore. Deep below the surface, inside the planetary core, something ancient had awakened. The Earth itself pulsed, a heartbeat echoing through the crust. Every monitor on the planet flickered with the same signal, a single rhythmic thump that synchronized with the world's magnetic field. Dr. Mara, one of the lead scientists, stared at the readings in disbelief. "It's responding on its own," she whispered. "The planet is awake." Above, the alien fleets opened fire again, desperate to break through. But their beams never reached the ground. Instead, they bent backward, reversing course, and struck their own ships. Entire formations exploded in brilliant flashes of light. The survivors tried to retreat, but the space around Earth had changed. It was no longer ordinary space. It had become something alive. Their ships began to drift, caught in invisible tides, their instruments useless. "Panic spread through the alien ranks. Something's pulling us in," one commander shouted. "Our drives are collapsing." On Earth, Admiral Kale watched from the defense station. "They brought back something from beyond the void," he said softly. "But they don't realize they also brought it back to us." A deep rumble shook the solar system. The wormholes the aliens had opened began to collapse, tearing apart the fleets trapped between dimensions. Fragments of ships vanished into swirling light, leaving trails of glowing dust. But amid the destruction, one massive vessel remained, a colossal command ship. Larger than any city on Earth. It hung in orbit, its surface rippling with strange dark energy. From its core, a voice echoed again. "Humans, you have awakened the old world. The light that guards you is not your creation. It belongs to what sleeps beneath you, and now it remembers." Every human listening felt a chill. The voice wasn't entirely alien. It sounded partly human, as if something ancient had merged with the enemy. Dr. Mara's eyes widened. "They're not wrong," she said. "The energy field that protects Earth, it's growing conscious. It's learning." Suddenly, the command ship began charging its main weapon, gathering energy that bent space itself. Its beam was aimed straight at Earth's core. Admiral Kale's voice was steady. "Then we finish this. Power the grid and sync it with the core." His crew hesitated for only a second. Then, one by one, the defense stations activated. Energy surged from every corner of the planet, channeling into the magnetic field. The air around Earth shimmered as the entire planet began to glow. In orbit, the alien flagship released its weapon. A single beam of black light cut through the void, heading straight for Earth. It struck the surface, but instead of impact, the planet's light flared brighter. The beam was absorbed, twisted, and reversed. A massive surge erupted outward, expanding faster than any weapon known. The alien fleets disintegrated in silence, their ships dissolving into light. The flagship tried to escape, but the wave caught it, freezing it mid-space. The dark energy within it began to unravel, and a scream of countless voices filled the void before vanishing into nothing. The silence that followed was absolute. Every alien vessel was gone, the wormholes sealed. The stars returned. On Earth, the defense network shut down slowly. Power levels dropped. The glow around the planet faded. But deep underground, the planetary core still pulsed faintly. Dr. Mara stood in the control room, watching the readings. "Is it over?" someone asked. She nodded slowly. "For now, but the planet's field isn't returning to normal. It's changing." In the days that followed, Earth's skies remained bright, filled with soft, shifting lights that danced like auroras across every continent. People reported strange dreams, visions of endless stars, and whispers in unknown languages. The Galactic Council received the final transmission from the outer observation posts. It showed Earth glowing like a living star, radiating energy that disrupted sensors across half the galaxy. Then the signal cut out. The Council gathered in silence. The Speaker of the Council looked around the chamber. "We have lost the fleets. The survivors claim they were not destroyed, but consumed by something that lives within Earth's light." One alien delegate trembled. "Then humanity has become one with it." The speaker nodded slowly. "They are no longer part of the Council's concern. Earth is beyond our reach." Back on Earth, Admiral Kyle stood on a mountain ridge, looking up at the stars. "They thought they could erase us," he said softly. "But they never understood what this planet truly is." Dr. Mara joined him, watching the glowing sky. "What do you think it is?" she asked. He smiled faintly. "Not a weapon, not a shield. Something older. Something that's been waiting for someone to wake it up." As they stood in silence, a low hum filled the air, a resonance that reached beyond the planet, across space and time. The sound spread through the galaxy, carried on waves of invisible light. In distant star systems, alien worlds felt the pulse. Sensors failed. Power grids flickered. The stars themselves seemed to dim, and then, one by one, every listening civilization heard the same voice. "Do not return." It was neither human nor alien. It was something in between, something born of both. The galaxy obeyed, and Earth, glowing softly in the dark, became more than a planet. It became a living reminder of what happens when humanity is forced to defend itself, an eternal warning shining through the stars.